You're listening to Never Heard of It, a Night Shift Radio production. Yeah. You're drinking a bubbly. Right?
A bubbly.
A
Yes.
bubbly. Yeah.
A bubbly thing. Grapefruit. Pamplemousse.
So I've been trying to find a soda alternative for a very long time now.
Okay.
Sparkling water is not a soda alternative. It is a bubbly drink alternative, but it's not the same. It's not the same as soda.
Fair
so I'm
enough.
not looking for a sparkling water. There's a few. So obviously, one of the things that I'm looking for is something that's still going to give me the idea of soda without the shit of soda. The high sugar and and all that kind of stuff. And so far, I've yet to find something that is that fits the bill, that is reasonably priced. There is a thing called Ugly Drink, which it fits the bill. It's soda, but it doesn't have all the sugar. It's like, really good for you, but it's like $40 for a 6-pack. And I'm like, you can eat shit.
Well, there's always Olipop, which I just decided to say, fuck it and try because throughout the pandemic, we've been pretty frugal. And pretty good with saving money, even in spite of, or I guess on top of purchasing a home. And so I spent $100 on 3 12-packs of Olipop. And my conclusion so far is it's $35 a 12-pack.
Yeah.
So no, I don't recommend that. It's tasty, although it does have stevia in it, so it does have a little bit of that aftertaste. So if you're sensitive to that, like Ellen is, it's a little rough. My only thing is I think it's giving me really bad gas.
Well, that's not good. That's all, I don't know if that's a good trade.
The roots and extracts and botanicals and whatnot. I feel like it's as far as sodas go, probably pretty good for you, but I'm having trouble convincing my gut that.
Your gut's like, what is this plant garbage you are putting in my body right? Like, can you just pump me full of sugar again? This is ridiculous.
Well, that's the thing, is that I don't consume a lot of sugar. I haven't really drank soda in a long time with any consistency. Like every now and then, I'm not saying, well, I never drink soda. No, like with any consistency, I really don't. And I eat primarily plant-based. I eat reasonably healthy. I'm not too heavy one direction or the other. And I think it's things like this that make the claim of being ostensibly good for you or quote unquote healthy, when really it's just an amalgamation of things that on their own may actually be very good for you, or at least not bad for you, but altogether you can't necessarily make the claim that the final product is good for you.
Yeah, it's like cal chips are like a really great example, because like cal's really good for you, but then when you like fry it up and put tons of salt on it and stuff like that, it's like, well, I mean, it was good. It's still good. It's better than, say, like eating a bag of potato chips, but like you took the really healthy part and you just kind of scaled it back down to be a little more fatty, salty goodness.
If you get the timing right, you can do them yourself in the oven. You have to eat them basically right away. You can't like bag them up and save them, because otherwise they'll mush up again. But you can like roast them up just crispy with like a little bit of like oil and like salt and seasoning, whatever seasoning you want, like nutritional yeast will make it like the nacho cheesy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I've done that a few times. I love cal chips.
We've been swapping over to sea salt on our cal chips. It just gives them a little bit of an extra taste to it. It's like it's a little more than regular salt, so it just it feels healthier, nicer. It's probably the same, but it just tastes better. It has like a sweeter taste to it.
Do you do the flake salt or like?
Yeah, we have the flake salt. Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the move.
Yeah, it comes in like a really cool fancy box that looks like some old seaman designed it. That sounded bad. Some old
an old man of the
gentleman. The old man of the the old man's just sitting on a boat yammering to himself.
The old mariner.
The old man. So But we're not here to talk about healthy foods. Quite the contrary. We're here to talk about movies, very bad ones, in fact. So that being said, hello and welcome to the Never Heard of It podcast. I'm your host, Michael Veit.
And I am Caleb Tidal Coy.
And we are continuing on our month of listener requests. Who did this one come from? I don't remember.
This was from Night Shift Radio's very own Casey.
I'm Casey, so fucking mad at Casey. I'm so fucking. This is direct revenge.
Yeah, I maintain that Casey is still very pissed at us for the time that the SuperPodHeroCast joined us for Spaghetti Man, and this is like playing the long game, like getting revenge on us, because that was like 2 years ago or more.
Spaghetti Man was a work of art. Okay, Spaghetti Man was literally a work of art, and that
movie
was terrible.
This was garbage. Although,
God damn it, Casey.
In his own words, in what I read as more of a yell than a passive statement, it's not even a movie. 3 exclamation points.
That's accurate. I will say that is accurate. So yeah, so we are going to talk about zombie tidal wave, and this is a weird one because
knocking things over. Sorry.
Oh, stop knocking things over.
A little mishap on my desk here.
So this was written and directed by Anthony C. Ferrante, who was the director of all of the Sharknado films, which Sharknado is the Asylum, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, but this is not an Asylum film. No. So this is the same director, same writer, but not the Asylum. So different production company. But this was a sci-fi original film. So this was one of those like direct to sci-fi films.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that for just a moment. I want to talk about specifically how fucking weird and convoluted the world of streaming platforms is. Because as you mentioned, this is a sci-fi original film, which I don't know about you, but I had to do some digging because it wasn't available streaming on any service that I had immediate access to, and I couldn't even purchase it through Google TV. I had to search and find it on the NBC app, not Peacock. Yeah. Mind you, not Peacock TV.
NBC Universal.
And NBC Universal, either through the app or through the website, I had to sign up for an account, which I could then optionally link to a television provider if I wanted to, but I don't pay for TV, so I don't have one. It thankfully let me skip that because otherwise I was going to have to be like last minute. Sorry, Casey, I guess I can't watch this awful movie. But oh no, I was able to. So they provide, I guess it appears 3 free credits to watch without. I assume at that point you have to link to a television provider or pay somehow. I don't know. I didn't dig into it anymore. But just the fact that not only was it available nowhere, not even to like on demand to pay for, but NBC presents it through a separate and distinct app than the one that they're promoting most heavily right now.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Also, so this is really weird, in that same sense. So when I brought it up to try to find it, I just used the Apple TV search function, and it came up in a whole bunch of apps. It was like NBC Universal, the Sci-Fi app, Bravo, my AT&T Now like thing, and it was like, here's all the things you can watch it, and every one that I clicked brought me back to that same NBC Universal sign up thing as like one like large package. And once I signed up with the NBC Universal, it actually played in the Sci-Fi app. Same thing though, using those 3 credits, using one of my 3 free credits. But it was super weird because in the NBC Universal app, it was like, try Peacock. And I'm like, how about just put this fucking movie on Peacock?
Yeah.
like why is this all the way over here?
How have we not figured out a like reasonable and intuitive approach to streaming television? Like, no, I get that it's like constant money grabs and competitions from various media companies who own different pieces of intellectual property and are constantly fighting over them and whatnot. But like when you have one company, one corporation, one conglomeration that owns several properties, and they still split those out across separate paid and or free services and make you do a fucking dance to watch their content. Why do I want to watch your content then?
Yeah, no, it's
I'm angry about this.
The more I always maintain this. I'm all for UX things. It's like the more complicated you make a thing, the more steps I have to do a thing, even if it's free, I am less likely to do it. If they were like, sign up for this thing, then go to this app and sign up for that app and do this thing, or pay me $4, I would have paid them $4 because I refuse. And I know that that's kind of the point. But like when things are free, like the more hoops you make me jump through, the less likely I am to use your product or your website or your anything. I am very much like please stop with the clicks. Like give me as less clicks as possible.
Well, that's the thing is like I did not expect to find this streaming free on any of the services that I had because I had looked into it when I was updating the website at the beginning of the month. And so I was fully prepared to go and pay like $4 or $5, whatever, to rent this movie, knowing that, you know what, I'm making an investment in the podcast, even though I walk away with some joy removed from my life. But you know, they didn't even let me do that. So
yeah,
here we are.
Shame.
Here we are.
But so here we are.
For those of you who listen to this and decide I really want to watch this movie, first of all, you know, people will literally watch this movie instead of going to therapy.
People will make this movie instead of going to therapy.
People will make this movie instead of going to therapy. Second of all, you can watch it for free on NBC Universal if you haven't used your 3 free credits. So there.
And that's what we did. I did watch it on the Sci-Fi app, or if you are a person who still has some form of a cable package, whether you get it with your internet service or whatever, you can sign up that way, and the Sci-Fi app it'll just unlock everything for you, and you can just go in the Sci-Fi app and do it fine.
But if you've got like Sling or something and it has Sci-Fi, it's probably in the back catalog.
It's probably in there.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah. I was able, even though I did the sign up thing, it looks like my I don't have the AT&T Now service anymore, but I would have been able to link it and been able to watch this without using up credits or anything like that on the AT service.
Really wild.
It's wild stuff. Yeah. So, so zombie tidal wave. So this is another one of the long line of sci-fi films that takes a weird premise and like the environmental disaster and just throws it together. So Sharknado is a perfect example. It takes sharks and a tornado and kind of throws them together. Like this really, the formula of this film is no different than Sharknado. Again, written and directed by the same person and actually starring the same person, which is Ian Ziering, who was in all of the Sharknado films as the main character. But of course, only 90s kids will remember. But he is most famous as being on Beverly Hills 90210. So that was his claim to fame.
Holy shit. He was in the Ed Hardy Boys too. The case of when that hot Filipina girl lost her tramp stamp at mini golf.
What?
Have you ever seen the Ed Hardy Boys?
No, but that sounds
it's
ridiculous.
Kroll. Nicholas Kroll?
Oh,
Nick Kroll,
Nick Kroll.
Nick Kroll and John Daly as Bobby Bottle Service and Peter Paparazzo, the Ed Hardy Boys, solving mysteries at the behest of Cristiano de Gier.
But also, so here's our comic book tie-in. So he was Harry Osborn in the Spider-Man TV series that aired in 2003.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, but he was Steve Sanders on Beverly Hills 90210. So he was that character. He was in the Mighty Ducks TV series, Biker Mice from Mars, which I do remember.
Fuck yeah. He was Dr. Nick in the Godzilla TV series.
Oh, hey.
Dr. Nick Tatopoulos.
Yeah.
Okay. He was in
what else?
90210.
He was in Melrose Place as Steve Sanders, which obviously Melrose Place and 90210 that was one of those like spin-off things. And then he was in Parker Lewis Can't Lose. which is pretty amazing, which he played himself. And then Married with Children, he was on an episode of that, which I was just talking about that show, because I feel like that would be such a weird show, like given like everything that's happened since the 80s. Like, what would Married with Children look like now? Because like you couldn't have a womanizer type character like, I mean, even though like he got, you know, it back, but like an Al Bundy would not fly like these days, or like how they objectified a 17 less than 17-year-old daughter, like over sexualized the younger brother. Like that whole show would not fly right now.
No, that show was pretty fucked.
But I still want to know what Jefferson Darcy is doing right now. And like not the actor, like the character of Jefferson Darcy, who was Marcy's neighbor, Marcy Darcy, her like stay-at-home husband. Like, I just want to know if he's well. I bet you he's doing fine. That's my thought. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Jefferson Darcy.
Yeah. That's, you know.
Yeah.
I almost said, "What's Ed O'Neill doing these days?" And then I realized, oh, Modern Family. That's right.
Yeah, Modern Family. Yeah, he's doing all sorts of things. He's got a very successful show. Again. But anyways, zombie tidal wave. So zombie tidal wave, it starts off this is one of those movies that like it's following the Jaws formula. So the first thing we see are a couple swimming in the ocean, you know, and the guy was like, "Hey, I love you," and like, "Here's a ring," and she's like, "Oh my god," and he's like, "Will you marry me?" And then she turns her back to look at the ring, and he gets sucked down because of a zombie. You know, she bounces up, and they both get killed and whatever. And then so begins our movie, and then we go directly to our main character, Ian Ziering, who plays Hunter Shaw, who is, I don't know, what, Coast Guard? What exactly does he do?
There is no indication whatsoever what it is he does other than live on a boat and perform action stunts.
Yeah.
He at one point, like in this opening scene, he's like, he sees people dicking around on the shore. He's like, "That's why I stay on the boat." Like, he's some grumpy old seaman.
But that's what
see what I did there.
I see that. So that's what, like, because so like they see the kids like shooting off the fire, or the guy shooting off the fireworks off of, you know, the boat, and so they go over and he like jumps on. He was like, "Hey, you gotta cut that shit out," and blah blah. So it made me think he was some form of Coast Guard type person, but like there's never like any authority levied to him that like really makes you understand, like, one, why the fuck he's even like, you know, doing anything, and like who are the two people on his boat, like who's his friend and his niece, like,
yeah,
why are they there? Like, I get they're just fishing, but
Ray Mcrae,
Mcrae.
Jada Mcrae, his niece.
Words are hard. Yeah. So Ray Mcrae is played by Shelton Jolivet, who is been in a few things. Honestly, nothing that I fully can be like, "Oh, that guy." Yeah, really not in much. And I have to say, like, I don't know, man. The way his character is written seemed a little problematic to me.
Yeah. So, a couple things to get right out of the way here. So this movie was set in, and I believe it filmed on location in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we get at one point that the whole, well, that's relevant to the plot. I won't spoil it yet. I mean, we're going to spoil it, but not yet.
Yeah.
So it's set in Thailand. There is a fairly decently diverse cast, but this is one of those movies that goes out of its way to kill off every person of color so that the white couple can have their will they won't they kiss at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's literally like only the white people survive the end of this movie, minus maybe one character. No, that's literally it. Just only the white people survive.
Well, the vaguely Japanese sheriff's daughter survives.
Oh, right. Yeah, but but she's what was it? That was played by Angie.
Angie Theodora Dick.
Yep.
Goes by the character is Tayania Coney.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if she has any sort of she's Native American and Hispanic ancestry. Okay. So good on you that at least one person of color made it to the end.
Yeah, I mean the point primarily being that she was very much the exception to this overly tired and really fucked up Hollywood trope of killing off all the non-white people.
Yeah.
Heroic or not, it's still shitty.
Yes, it is still shitty. And we're going to talk about the sheriff too, because I have to apologize to my girlfriend because in the middle of dinner, after having watched this movie, I was like, it was just like, we were just eating and I was like, so what I didn't understand was why did he have the scratch if, and she was like, what? I was like, listen, I'm very upset about this. I need to talk. She was like, save it for Caleb. And I was like, no, listen, you don't understand. Yeah.
CJ, I'm sorry you have to go through this.
But yeah, so now we're on the boat and Ray is fishing and Hunter is, I don't know, being cool up on the thing. And
he's a dude that has a machete on his boat. That's what you need to know about Hunter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe having a machete is important in Thailand, but not in his very citified area of Thailand. Like you never get to an area where you're like, oh, this is why you have a machete. Like,
he's hanging out. He's off the coast of a beach town, hanging out. Like he doesn't venture into the jungle, and like I don't get the impression that he's an explorer or anything like that. So again, is he using it to hack up fish?
Right. Well, that's the other thing.
I think there are better knives for that.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like it doesn't even have like a sensical use on the boat. Like it's not even like a fishing knife, or like a hunting knife at that. Like that's a machete to like go through the jungle, but like it's clearly like a tourist town that he lives in because there's like a riverside bar, and they talk about like we see somebody shooting a young guy shooting off fireworks off one of the boats that he rented, and they're like, oh, all the tourists come in and the Americans, and they come and shoot off fireworks and act a fool, and it's like, oh, so this is a huge, like, obviously this is a tourist spot, like this isn't some out of the way backwoods like keep it a secret town. This is legit, like a lot of people come here, so it was just weird that he had a machete.
Yeah,
but you know what, that's his shtick and he's gonna stick with it the rest of the film.
It's the perfect zombie killing weapon,
but not in this movie.
Not in this movie.
Not in this movie.
Let's get right into that because it's fairly early on that the Ray is fishing and he snags the big one, which happens to reel in a zombie who is oddly blue and crusty, as tends to happen. And of course the zombie then immediately attacks Jada. Is it Jada? I said this
Jada.
Her name already. Jada, yeah. Attacks Jada and bites her, and then Ray just kind of leads it around in a circle on the boat, like threatening it, but never actually doing anything. And Hunter knows just what to do. He goes and gets his machete. We're like, all right, this guy, he's watched a movie or two. Like he knows exactly what to do when there's zombies. And he stabs it through the chest. Or like not even the chest, like in the gut. He stabs it in the gut. I'm like, first of all, a machete is not a stabbing weapon. And Andrea, I know you're listening, and I know that you are going to tell me to refer back to your message in Slack where you said that anything is a stabbing weapon if you try hard and believe in yourself. But no, a machete is not a stabbing weapon.
It's incorrect.
Machete is very much explicitly a chopping weapon.
Yeah.
It is meant for clearing foliage and removing heads. And here we are.
And here we are. And the wild thing about this is that him having fought this person, fight this zombie right off the bat, he's the first person who says the word zombie. Like, he says, hey, I think we're dealing with zombies here. Like, he's the only one, in fact, that actually like says it out. Like, holy shit, these are zombies. So he knows about zombies, but he never goes for their head. That's like standard zombie canon. I mean, I guess he does later, but then, so go on about that.
There's one head removal, which is after a lengthy and just absurd fight scene where he's doing like fucking spin kicks and doing the like spin and slice sword fight moves like he's some fucking master swordsman. At one point, like, removes an arm and starts beating the zombie with it. There's lots of punching. The zombie suplexes him like he's the fucking Iron Sheik. There's
dope,
like a whole bunch of absurdity in that fight, and like eventually he finally removes the zombie's head. This is in like the final scene of the movie. There is one point about halfway through where like they shoot one or two in the head or whatever, and they seem to not die. And he's like, zombie movies, you shoot them in the head, they're supposed to die. And the sheriff's like, well, maybe this is something else. That's what I'm afraid of. There's a shit ton of like, I wanted them to be good one-liners, but they weren't.
They were terrible.
Like a scene where he runs one over with a truck. He's like, roadkill.
Yeah. And it sucks is that like some of the worst lines were done by Ray as well. And like, it was really frustrating. So I was like, this sucks. Like, you're giving him these shitty one line. Plus, like, this huge event happens and everybody is just like ready to make these one-liner quips. Like, even though it is literally like a national disaster, like tens of thousands of people have died because of a tidal wave, a tsunami, and like their friends are dead. Like, they're seeing people die in front of them, and they're like, roadkill. And it's like, what are you doing making jokes, dude? Like, your life is literally in danger right now. You just saw all your friends die. Like, the entire town is devastated and you're overrun by zombies, and like, this is not the moment for these jokes.
No,
like, at really all. Isn't. Like, stop. It's crazy. It was crazy to me. I mean, like, I get it. It's a movie. Also, it's a zombie movie. Also, it's a movie where zombies invade a town because they're brought by a giant tidal wave, which, how did that even happen? Like, how did we even get a tidal wave?
There was a vague reference to an earthquake, but I definitely don't remember there being an earthquake, and that might have been like, I couldn't put my full attention into this movie even right from the very beginning, so I probably missed a few key details. But I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that those details were just omitted. Like, we're just supposed to like assume that an earthquake happened somewhere that caused the like 2 back-to-back massive tsunamis full of zombies, which. Did I when my headphones came unplugged earlier? Did I miss you saying how this movie should have been called Zombie Tsunami, because that's a dope title?
No, I haven't brought up that it should be called Zombie Tsunami, or the fact that he says he had the moment to say the title and fucks that up too. The Zombie Tsunami, like, and he looks like right at the camera. He's like, it's a zombie tsunami. People like, just call the fucking movie Zombie Tsunami. Why say it? Just either say zombie tidal wave or say zombie tsunami. The only thing I can think of is that the movie was entitled Zombie Tsunami. They made Zombie Tsunami. They wrote it into the script, and then the movie went out to distribution, and they were like, no, it has to be zombie tidal wave. And they're like, but fucking why? Like, there's
it's not even a tidal wave, though.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a tidal wave car wash around here, so I tried to search tidal wave, and that's what it gave me. Okay. But no, like, a tidal wave, unless I'm very mistaken, is caused by the tides, by the moon, the gravity of the moon.
I
Whereas
would
a
assume by
tsunami is
tidal,
caused by a cataclysmic event.
an underground
Yeah.
earthquake that causes
Yeah,
the thing.
the U.S. Geological Service, USGS.gov, has a great article. What is the difference between a tsunami and a tidal wave? Two different and unrelated phenomena. A tidal wave is a shallow water wave caused by the gravitational interactions between the sun, moon, and earth. And it was in earlier times used to describe what we now call a tsunami. A tsunami is an ocean wave triggered by large earthquake that appear near or under the ocean, volcanic eruptions, submarine landslides, or by onshore landslides in which large volumes of debris fall into the water. So this is very much fits the definition of a tsunami.
Right. So this is a zombie tsunami.
Doesn't truly rhyme, but like it's clever enough.
Right. It rolls off the tongue better. Like Zombie Tsunami sounds like a fucking dope 90s like crunch punk or surf rock band.
It sounds like a ska band, let's be realistic.
Yeah.
And
which
this movie
I have to say, it did have a ska song. I was pretty excited about that. As soon as he started like playing the ska song, I was like, all right. That's okay.
If the entire soundtrack had been ska, I would have given this a little bit more, a little bit higher rating.
We're going to talk about the singer in this thing in just a second. So before we do that, though, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will talk a little bit about, we're going to talk about the rest of this movie. So first off, thanks a lot for subscribing to the podcast. And of course, if you could leave a rating and review on whatever platform it is that you're listening to, that would be really, really cool. We would really, really appreciate that. So please do that. We would love you for that. And also, if you're like, yo, I love these episodes, and you're like, man, I wish I could get them 2 days earlier. Well, you can. If you sign up to our patreon.com/Night Shift Radio, also linked below, you can actually get episodes of a lot of the Night Shift Radio podcast early. So you can get Never Heard of It early. You can get Second Edition 1 and a couple other of our shows. You can actually get those episodes a little early, plus some bonus things as well. Another one that you'll be able to get early is when that kicks back up, which should be soon, the Storyteller series. You'll be able to get those a few days early as well before those episodes air. So that would be really cool. And of course, that support helps us kind of keep everything going and keep the lights on, so to speak. So it'd be super helpful if you could do that. Definitely check it out. And of course, for more information, head to nightshiftradio.com. But Caleb, so we're doing a listener request month. How could someone submit to say they wanted to listen to request a movie?
Oh, that's an excellent question. If you were to head over to thenahoit.com, that's THENHOIT.com, where, of course, we always have our schedule of upcoming episodes for the month, as well as links to trailers and where you can find these movies streaming if available. Just below that is a contact form where you can reach out and you can let us know if you want to talk to us about if you want us to talk about a specific movie. So we did last September, we did a full month of listener requests. This month is a full month of listener requests, and we'll keep it going as long as the requests keep coming in. So send them over, and we'll give you a shout out when we pick your movie.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you wanted to, you could also just tweet us any of your requests. We're on Twitter at the Nahoit Podcast. That's the NHOIT Podcast. Of course, tweet at us, tag us in a trailer or something. And you're like, you should totally watch that. One of our first episodes in March will be one of those called Psycho Gorman. So that'll be a cool one to check out. That was tweeted at us. Fat Man was another one that was tweeted at us over the Christmas time. What else? Velocipaster was another one. There's been a few. So, if you're like, hey, I'm on Twitter. Oh, here's this really cool film. Tag, never heard of it. Hey, you guys should watch this. Totally do that.
We'll do it.
All right, cool. So we're going to head to a commercial break. When we come back, we will actually talk about zombie tsunami or tidal wave, zombie tidal wave. Hello and welcome back. Hey, so when we left, we sort of started bitching about zombie tidal wave, and now we're going to continue complaining about zombie tidal wave. So
mess.
we've met a cast of characters. So we met a doctor who is with her daughter and her daughter's friend, and this is one of those things we talked about this last week with Why Don't You Play in Hell, where like people will add these like things in the movie. They'll add like all these other subplots, and most of the time they just fizzle out, or they're just unnecessary. And bad writers will be like, oh well, it's for character development, but most of the time it's just like, honestly, it didn't matter. Like in this movie, character development is very irrelevant. This is the type of movie that you don't need it. Like you don't. It's really, really unnecessary. It's just space filler. Like just
you're gonna kill 90% of
fighting.
your cast. You're gonna kill 90% of your cast to begin with. So like, why do we care to get to know them? Why do you think that we need to spend additional time like learning these characters' backstories? And or like it's even worse because they do a half-assed attempt at like backstories and character developments and making connections between these people so that we know that there's supposed to be a connection, but then it's not fully fleshed out. So even if like the intent is to make us care about these people, we don't.
Well, and that's the thing. Like the point about caring for these characters too is irrelevant, because this is not the type of movie where you're going to be like, oh no, not that person, I love that character. This is the type of movie where when anybody dies, it does not matter whether it's like young kid, old person. You're like, oh, that guy just totally ate it. Like everybody's like death should be reacted that way. Like it is not like I should not shed a tear at fucking zombie tidal wave. That's not the point of this. Correct. So like, the heroic, grenade explosion of the sheriff. I wasn't like, no, that's so sad. I was like, bitch, why are you watching your dad get blown up? Like, just leave. Why are you standing here watching? Like, that is an image you will never, ever get out of your head, watching your dad blow to pieces. Why would you do it? Like, also ridiculous.
Like, he gets the heroic moment of like he's got the grenade and he's gonna like collapse the cave full of zombies that are chasing after them. But they do the whole thing where like they have him hold it until he dies, and then of course as a zombie his hand relaxes and drops the grenade. He doesn't even get his actual moment of heroism, like I'm gonna do this, and like grit his teeth and like rah! Right, and like blow them all up. He just dies and unceremoniously blows up.
The best rude. The best scene I've ever seen of the whole like hold the grenade until the very last moment was Terminator 2. Where the guy, he has the thing and he's like, and then when it blows up his house and he has like the things in it. That was the best scene of it. But anyways, rewatch Terminator 2. Great fucking scene. Anyways,
I've probably seen that, but I definitely don't remember it.
It was really good. So, right. So we've met all the cast of characters. We meet the mom, the single mom. And it's like, well, dad died X number of years ago. Like, he's gone, mom. You should be dating again. And you're like, fucking okay. And, she gets a phone call from Hunter and they're like, ooh. And I'm like, God, I fucking hope you guys die right now. So, she picks up the call and he's like, hey, there's a weird thing. I saw a zombie thing and Jada got bit by a zombie. Yeah. So Jada gets bit by the zombie, by the way. So they rush off to the hospital. They rush off to this doctor, who is, what is her name in the thing? I can't even see her. Oh, Nurse Kenzie. Sophia. She's not even.
No, she's Kenzie.
Kenzie Wright. Yeah. So Dr. Kenzie Wright. Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Cassidy.
They make a point to call her because she's on like, she's about to work her 5th double shift in a row or whatever. Again, I don't care. They make a point to call her and she rushes out to the scene and she gives like the most cursory look over Jada and she's like, oh yeah, she's going to be fine. And they take her to the hospital and then she and Hunter just stand around and flirt about how, oh, you owe me dinner, mister. Are you still planning on leaving the island?
Well, this was the craziest thing because, like, he's like, yeah, so, Ray was fishing and we pulled up this guy and he was totally dead and all weird looking. And then all of a sudden he just came back to life and I stabbed him like 50 times and nothing happened. And then he literally tore Jada's throat open and she passed out. And but then I knocked him overboard and he was still alive. Anyway, so about that dinner, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what the fuck? Like, this is a really big deal. Like, this should be way more of a big deal right now. And they're like, whatever, man, I guess. And it was like, what the fuck is happening?
This is definitely a problem. And you've talked about this, though, how, like, in movies like this, in any kind of horror or disaster film or whatnot, like, nobody ever believes that there's a problem. Like, everyone, like, it just walks around in naive or willful ignorance until the problem is directly affecting them. And even then, sometimes well after. And like, at what point are they going to be like, wait, you had to do what? And the guy looked like, how? Fuck, that sounds bad. Let's get some, some major eyes on this.
So this is where it gets really bad. So I'm going to say that Sheriff Kameo Oconee, who is played by Eric Chikashi Lindsbichler, who has been in some pretty good movies. He was in The Wolverine. He was in, what else was he in? He was in Unbroken. What else? So that's about it. He was in The Wolverine, Unbroken, and The Brighton Miracle and Zombie Tidal Wave. This was one of the last films he did before, I don't know, maybe he just quit acting. One, he's not a great actor, but two, his character is the worst character in the whole film for so many reasons. So one, after this whole incident happens, Jada is sent off to the hospital. Hunter's done, playing swing with the doctor here, and he's like, he calls the sheriff up and he's like, hey man, like, we need to go out on my boat. Like, we need to investigate this guy that I left in the middle of the ocean that I expect to just be there, even though I actively saw him like swimming away. So anyways, but also they saw glowing water under the ocean or whatever. So he brings the sheriff out there and, he's saying to him like, hey man, I think this is zombies. Like, these guys came out from under the ground where this light is, and I'm pretty sure it's zombies. And the sheriff is like, you're pulling my, like, this is ridiculous. That can't possibly be what it is. And he's like, well, hang on. I have this underwater camera. So he goes down and does the underwater camera, and they see like, all this like big ship, and for some reason Hunter just knows boats, I guess, because he says he grew up on an island and he knows boats. Like, people know cars, I know boats. Okay, whatever. And he like identifies this very specific boat, and the sheriff is like, and they see like the light coming out of the boat, and it's obviously something's going on in the boat, and they see a figure of a person floating out of the boat and moving around, and the sheriff's like, you got me. Oh, you. And it's like, wait, what? And then at that moment, the first zombie tsunami happens. And this is where we get the line, it's a zombie tsunami. So they're trying to like maneuver their way around it. Now, mind you, so after the tsunami happens, everybody's crashed on the beach. A whole bunch of people are dead. Him and the sheriff are, they finally outboat the wave.
Because they fucking surf that shit. They surf it in a boat.
Yeah, because totally how that works. And the sheriff gets off and he's still kind of like, I don't know. I really just don't know what it is. But here's where the bad part comes in. He does actually know what it is. So years ago, this company came to test on humans, and he knew that they were doing this with this special blue thing. They knew that they had a boat that they eventually sinked off of, they sunk this boat out in that exact spot that they're at. Like, he knew all of this, but his character is written so fucking badly that he feigns ignorance or stupidity for the first half of the thing. But wait, there's more. Early, this is where I was yelling at. I'm going to rant about this and then I'm passing it off. So at one point during a scrappy battle, they're going to rescue the doctor and stuff like that. He gets scratched on the arm, right? And they make a really big dramatic point. He looks at it and he's like, oh no. And he has that moment of like, fuck, I've been scratched by a zombie. Like, I gotta hide it, because he's that guy. And
There's
he's like,
always
oh,
that guy.
there's always that guy. And so eventually they make it to another safe space. And it turns out it's like this weird guy. And he's there and he's like holding it and looking at his cut and he's like, oh man, like eventually I'm gonna have to tell them or I'm just gonna turn. Wait a minute, what's that noise in the basement? So he gets his gun and he goes down to the basement and he finds out that this guy, that this house that they're staying at, like the safe house, has been experimenting on a zombie. And he goes down and he gets attacked by a zombie and bitten by that zombie on the same spot where he was scratched, and then later has that whole thing. So why did he get scratched if they wrote that he was just going to be bitten anyways?
I mean,
why?
So the guy whose house that they're at, and I've already forgotten his name because again,
It didn't fucking matter. It's Marty
matter.
Driscoll.
Driscoll, that's who. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Driscoll, played by Randy Chirac.
Yeah. So he, oh my god, I'm drawing a blank on. No, it doesn't matter. He reminds me of the guy that does the really loud, in your face street comedy where he runs up to people for $1. Do you like Britney Spears?
Oh, Billy Eichner.
Yeah, he reminds me of like a tame Billy Eichner.
Right.
So he's got this compound way up on a hill. Like it would take some time to get to his compound.
Oh, yeah.
And it's gated and secured, and he has cameras and everything. And he somehow sees this tsunami, drives himself down to the beach, gets himself a zombie, brings it back up to his compound, down to his basement, sets up a whole laboratory to run tests to see what it is and how he can, like, that's what we're supposed to believe, not that like this guy is somehow directly involved, because we get the like the creepy ominous shots of like the IV drips and like the blue fluid and the blood, and like it's a very dirty, dingy basement. It looks like a fucking mad scientist. You remember fucking, was it was one of the terrible shark movies. Yeah, Sharkenstein. It looked like the fucking dingy ass mad scientist lab in Sharkenstein. God damn it.
Well, that's the most frustrating part, is because they revealed this whole like backstory of like this company had come in and done this. Like, why wouldn't they just make Driscoll be one of the like the hangovers from this? Like he maybe he stayed in town to do a little research, or he's like, he left, he was like, well, I'll just stay here, and that's why he's rich and why he knows all of this stuff. Like, that would have been a perfect tie-in. It would have been so great to like make sense to that plot, and they just it's just dangling out there, and it's just a huge missed opportunity to like make this be like a really full circle. He could have given backstory, like instead of them being like, I don't know, maybe they had this goo and I guess this is what they were really trying to do. Like they make this whole like bullshit explanation of like, oh, they were there to make anti-aging cream because they always fucking are. But yeah, the doctor was like, no, this is what they're really after.
Okay, so first of all, yes, like why all this setup and make it look like he's involved, and then he just like in the end is just some jackass that gets dragged in as a reluctant hero. So there's that. But then they go into this whole backstory about it, like it was a pharmaceutical company and like Roxxon or whatever the fuck, it was some generic
Rexcon or some bullshit.
Rexor, some generic like evil pharmaceutical company name, which I get it. Pharmaceutical companies are evil. Okay, fine. It's the anti-aging thing, but then they said that they were ready for human trials, but they had to come here, which is where we get the whole connection to this being in Thailand. So the FDA wouldn't be snooping around, and a bunch of us agreed to let them, and this is where the sheriff gets involved. And they knew that we couldn't say anything because we'd be culpable, and they take all of the failed test experiments because turns out it wasn't ready for human trials, and it went horribly wrong, and there was all these side effects, and people became like vicious killers, and like they took them off in a boat, but we knew that they sunk that boat, but I wasn't sure until Hunter pinned the the sunken ship on the zombie, and like a fucking mess, a whole mess. And then of course Dr. Kenzie is the one to stand up and say, we're all missing the real play here, that it wasn't side effects, it was exactly the intended effect. Like, how would you know that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. Like, they could have removed all of that bullshit from both the sheriff and the doctor and just had Driscoll be a part of it. He was a scientist who decided to leave because he was like, no, this is bad. We're doing something wrong. And he could have been the exposition for that to make a purpose for his character, because he had no fucking purpose to exist in this movie at all.
He could have been the brains behind it, just hiding out to avoid the feds. And like he could have been like just straight up a bad guy. He was believable. He was creepy. He was weird. Like they made him appear ominous, only to then be like kind of sassy. Like, is he maybe gay? Sort of like vibes to the character, the way that he's played. That's why I say like he reminds me of Billy Eichner, because he's got that kind of sassy delivery. Like, why do I have to be the one to blow up the ship?
And he just keeps putting the taser in there and be like, taser. And you're like, what are we going
for with this guy? Are we stereotyping? Is that what we're doing? Or is this is this just his delivery? Like, I've never seen this actor before. Like, is this just how he is? Like, I know nothing about this and I care nothing, but I'm angry.
Yeah. Well,
I'm angry because they tried to make me care about these people and I don't.
And I still don't. And that's the thing. Like they paint him, like the sheriff explains, like, don't go to Driscoll. He's a weirdo and blah, blah, blah. And like they paint him off to be like this weirdo bad guy type thing. And then he has like this redeeming moment in the end, which he completely fucks up, by the way. Yes. He has this redeeming, well, actually Ray and him completely fuck it up. But it's like, and then he has this redeeming moment and you're like, but what are you redeeming from? Like, you were just weird. Like, you didn't, you weren't bad. Like, you literally opened your doors to some stranger and then was like, well, I don't normally do this. By the way, here's a bunch of guns and weapons you guys are welcome to use. Oh, here's also a bunch of supplies. Oh, do you need a car too? I've got all of that stuff. And it's like,
an entire cupboard full of C4 that he doesn't know how to use. He just has.
He just has. Because he's a doomsday prepper, I guess. I don't know. But it was weird because they painted him to be this guy and he just wasn't that. And he had no purpose. He didn't make sense and it was annoying. Like, it pissed me off. Every character pissed me off because it was like, you seem like you should be something and you're just not. You're just not.
You know what his purpose was? To have a wood chipper.
That was
the second that they made a point of the camera like pans and pauses just ever so briefly on the wood chipper. I was like, Chekhov's wood chipper.
Well, they kept
this is gonna be a thing, and like they like any chance to get that wood chipper in frame, they did, until finally it was time to escape the compound, and like of course Shaw fucking makes a taser sword,
which is the same thing. That was another thing. They kept pointing off the taser. He kept showing the taser and showing the taser, and eventually he ties the taser to his machete, to this special double machete.
Of course, it never fucking works. Like, they made a whole thing about it, and then it doesn't ever work. But yeah, so like he runs out with that, and then it doesn't work. So they're like, "What are we gonna do?" And Kenzie runs out and like, "He needs my help." And like, "What are we gonna do?" Wood chipper, and they fucking like
they jump in the air and high five, and it freeze frames for a second. It goes da 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 da,
and then it's nonstop like WWE moves for the next 15 minutes as they fucking like flip him over the shoulder and then like do the like standing drop kick and
and like they both kick at the exact same time, and also like
there's a Sparta kick moment,
and like. We've talked about this before where like in the beginning of the movie they were like, oh well, yeah, I used to be a Marine but I don't do that anymore, and so that way later in the movie when they do something sort of actiony or no guns or whatever or combat, you're like, oh well, because they used to be a Marine or something. But like, how does this nurse know how to do this like elite, like very stylized fighting? Like, she's a fucking doctor in Thailand. Like,
honestly, same with the sheriff's daughter.
Right.
Like, because she's supposed to be at least like part Japanese, she just knows how to do spin kicks and shit.
Right. Like, I don't know, man. And we also, I would be remiss in not talking about the band.
The
And
band that,
Dag.
like, as soon as you see them, you're like, these guys are gonna die.
Yep,
Like,
yeah,
the
like,
moment they're on screen, like, these guys are gonna die horribly.
so there's this scene where this band is playing, and they're playing, like, I don't know, just rock. They're playing like generic rock music, and the lead singer's name is Dag. And so eventually, the young girl goes off with the drummer, which, first off, nobody goes with the drummer. Like, come on. Like,
Ivan,
that's just unrealistic.
Because he's Russian. Well, it's almost as realistic as Sam then trying to partner up with. I know it's the sheriff's daughter, Tayani, is dating the bass player, and again, nobody dates the bass player.
Nobody dates the bass player. Like, come on, you're just like, of all the unrealistic things in the movie, that's probably the most unrealistic. Is that? But anyway, so the main singer of this band is this cute little boy named Dag, and Dag's a cute little guy, and he's there, and he's like, oh yeah, and she was like, oh no, I like your band, but like, I don't know, you seem out of place. What, I don't know what this means. And he's like, yeah, well, Ivan just wants our music to be like bang, bang, bang. But I'm like I have feelings and stuff, and like I want to write like from my heart.
Just want people to like our music because we sing from the heart.
And it's like, fuck you.
I mean, the bass player wasn't on screen enough to even care about, but I feel like Dag was the only one who was actually Thai as well. Because Ivan was supposedly Russian, but was definitely like California bro.
Oh, 100%.
Like the scene where he gets out of the van, he's like, rock and roll, and like starts hitting zombies with his drumsticks.
Yeah, for some reason, like wasting time and then instantly dies.
Yeah.
But then, so Dag eventually he twists his ankle while running. Here's the thing, man. I'm almost 40 years old. Caleb and I were both almost 40 years old. I have done some dumb fucking shit in my life, and never in my 20s did I do anything. And I like jumped off roofs and shit. I still never twisted my ankle just plain running. Shit, I was running like 3 weeks ago with my dog, and like I said, 39 now. I didn't twist my ankle then. And every time someone twists their ankle, like just running in a movie, I'm like, no, that doesn't fucking happen. Cut that shit out. Writers, cut that shit out in your movie. Stop it.
No.
It's dumb.
Bad.
Stop it. It's bad. I will roll up a newspaper.
I honestly, like, I haven't twisted my ankle since probably I was in my like tweens. Like, I haven't.
Yeah.
I've hurt
even
myself.
Then, right.
I haven't like legitimately like twisted or turned or sprained my ankle in a very long time. And yeah, I don't know how it always manages to happen, and it's always to that person that like, well, they're gonna die.
Yeah,
yep, there it is. They sprained their ankle. They're slowing the group down, so they're gonna die.
And that's what he says. So they all get in, it's the sheriff's daughter and Dag, they get in this van, and she's like, oh no, what am I going to do? And he's like, I know, I'll distract them and you get away. So he distracts them by standing on top of the vehicle that they're in, so she can get out. Now, mind you, they're surrounding the vehicle that she's in because he gets up with a ukulele and plays a song from the heart. He plays this lovely little ballad, and it's like
it's the exact song that they played as a full band earlier. He just plays it like unplugged on the ukulele
the way he wants.
By the way, after smacking a couple zombies upside the head with that ukulele and it doesn't break, you're like, have you ever held a ukulele?
Those things are like $12 fucking dollars.
It would have smashed just waving it around in the air. It didn't even have to come in contact with the zombie's head. Side note, fun fact, Will J., who plays Dag, appears to actually be a musician. Like, he's primarily credited for like shorts that are all like songs as like Will J., By Now, Will J., Broke, Will J., Never Been in Love. So from this, I'm guessing, I'm gleaning that he is actually a musician.
Well, good for Jay.
So
He has
potentially
had
the
a very
only
good
person.
voice.
Yeah, he sang well, and but like maybe actually knew one of the two instruments that he played. Ivan definitely didn't know how to play drums. He was just
Ivan, no idea. Yeah.
It's like Animal is more believable than Ivan.
Yes. Animal's actually a really good drummer. Anyway,
Drums!
woman. So Dad gets fucked up while he's singing his ballad. Now, mind you, again, the van that he was trying to distract from, he's standing on top of. So now she gets out of the van because the hunter guy and the sheriff guy is there, and they show up to rescue her. And he's just standing on the van, like playing music so that they're distracted. And she starts running away and being like, you have to save him. And they're just like standing there, like pecking off one zombie. Like mind you, they're loaded to the teeth with weapons at this point. Like they have tons of guns and stuff like that. And they just kind of like
a bag in the back of the truck, and
it would be such a hassle.
So much work. Like that zipper is kind of tricky. You got to like jiggle it just right. And
they let Dag die. They literally just stand there doing nothing while she gets to him, and they're being like, she's like, we have to do something, and they're like, yeah.
Hunter's like, we'll save him, and then he immediately dies, and she's like, well,
they didn't even try. Yeah. And he was like, all right, well, I guess we should go. And she's like, Dag. Anyways, so like, oh my God. And it was just fucking terrible. It was just, oh God. Yeah. And then so here's the other thing that's just like really bothering me. So at this point they go to the hospital to get the doctor woman, and they're like, this girl's like a teen, so it's Hunter, the sheriff, and this young girl, and she's like, I have to go save my mom. And she's like, no, I know this place, so I've been going here my whole life. I know this place better than you. You two grown athletic men are gonna slow me down. Just let me do my thing. And they're like, okay, we'll go do that. And she's like, cool, well, give me a gun. And they're like, no, we're not gonna give you a gun. And be like, why wouldn't you give her a gun? Like
they left them all back in the truck, and it's
just too much work. The bag's heavy, and like I'd have to move my hockey equipment to get. It's just
so. Not only is it kind of weird that she's like, I know this place like the back of my own hand. Like, why do you, a teenager, know the hospital that well? But then also, when she says, I know this place so well, like so much better than you, what she does is run down a straight hallway to the nurse's station to get to the phone. That's what she knew better than them.
It's literally like 4 doors away from where she says that statement.
200 feet down a hall. If that.
Why? And then she just gets on the speaker and makes like this jokingly, paging Dr. Wright, your daughter is waiting for you, come pick her up. And it's like, bitch, you are being killed by zombies. Why are you doing this passive aggressive like announcement right now? Like, is this really the time to be doing this? I don't think it is. Super messed up.
They do the thing constantly through this movie that I fucking hate, where they'll grab a weapon, they'll like make one or two like half-assed attempts, or like they might actually like in some movies, it might actually be like a pretty like epic kill. They might like grab like a fucking sledgehammer and like take out a zombie, and it's amazing, and then they throw it down.
They drop it right away.
And like search around for something else to kill. And like, you had something. It was awesome. And even like they have the bag of guns, and they go in with like one gun, and like dude grabs a fucking fire extinguisher and doesn't even like use it to bludgeon. He sprays the zombies with it. What?
That's not going to stop anyone. That's the only thing that's going to stop is a fire. It was fucking terrible.
And only if it's the right kind of fire.
Right. So the other things that happened in this movie is, so after the dad gets bit, they're like going through this cave area to get to the other side of town, where they have this big idea that they're going to blow up the sunken ship where the zombies are coming from, because Mothership, maybe? I'm not really sure, because remember there was 2 tsunamis full of zombies that landed on shore. So there are thousands of zombies on shore, but blowing up this ship is super important right now. So they decide they're going to do that. So they're off to do that. Dad gets bit. Now this is another bad thing. So the dad basically is like, Buck, I'm dying. Like, you need to go ahead. He has the moment with the daughter. He like falls to the ground. He's laying down and he like closes his eyes and he can barely talk. And she puts the grenade in his hand and was like, I love you, Daddy. I'm going to go. Like, thank you so much. And she leaves. And he's just laying there. Like he has the grenade in his hand. We're assuming that he's basically on his deathbed at this point. But then she stops. They all stop and look back at the cave that they were going through, and they're being chased by zombies. And the dad like gets up and walks to them and like looks at her and is like, yeah. And then drops the grenade. Like you already set up the moment in which he would have had dropped the grenade. Like then you created another less dramatic moment to do it again. Like it was just the worst written fucking character in this whole movie. Like you kept setting up great things for him and then just fucking messing them up and doing it again. And it was like, why did you do this again? You had a really great touching moment where he's there with the grenade. You should have just jump back to the scene of him holding the grenade and he looks up at the zombies and be like, not my daughter, and then drops the grenade and it blows up or something. Like you had a great moment for like a one-liner hero moment and you just fucked it up. You fucked it up. It was terrible. It's terrible. Yeah. So mad. Yeah. And then zombies love ska music. That's the thing. I think the most silly part of the movie is Hunter Shaw riding in a golf cart playing ska music as the zombies like parade behind him so that they can electrocute them in a pond.
Okay, so it's like an electric bike or like something of that sort with a golf cart style frame built around it with like a party bike bench on one side. So like party bar sidecar, like golf cart thing. Like,
fucking love it.
I don't know what that is, but I need one.
But I want it.
That's the best part of this movie.
And I also would play ska music while I ride around in it.
Yeah, it's got a boombox like fucking zip tied to the back. Just like fucking old school tape deck.
So there's a lot of other little elements to this movie. Like we completely missed the like rich frat bro that like actively kills 2 people and is just like, what? It's a prank, bro. What? And like everybody's cool with that.
It's every man for himself.
Right, dude. Come on, bro. And then like the other thing we discover is that electricity or completely decimating the head is the only thing that kills these zombies. We missed the moment about them blowing up the ship with Driscoll going to do it and then just kind of fucking wading water while a bunch of zombies are coming at him. Like, motherfucker, you have scuba gear on you. Just dive. Like, just go underwater where they can't get you, or you could swim away from them. You're literally in a 3D environment where you can go all directions. Just go the other direction. That zombies
jumps in and it immediately swarmed. Immediately.
Right.
It's not even like he doesn't get the dramatic like, I'm gonna go plant the explosives, and like he gets there and like finally sets the last charge and then, oh no, I'm being attacked, and like he gets that kind of moment and like jumps in the water and is like, boom, surprise, motherfucker.
Right. And then they're like, well, now what are we going to do? So Ray has to like sacrifice himself after. Now, mind you, Driscoll jumped in the water to blow up the thing in there. And immediately they were like, oh my God, there's far too many zombies in the water. And Ray's genius plan is he's like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tie the C4 to the anchor, drop the anchor down onto the thing, and then blow up. But here, you girl are going to jump into the water where not only I have a bunch of C4 that I'm about to blow up a giant tanker with, but we know there's a shit ton of zombies. But hey, here's a life vest. That'll help, right?
You'll be
That'll
fine. Just like inflate the vest and ride the wave.
And swim fast.
You mean the like third massive wave that's triggered by this explosion that very much destroys not only the ship but the bottom of the ocean, but also your boat,
Yeah.
killing you along with it. And somehow she's supposed to be like, let's even pretend that there's not like zombies all over that are actively that are fucking Michael Phelps level swimmers,
Right.
that just swarmed and killed the last guy that jumped into the water. Like, let's even say that that's not a thing. You don't think that the explosion's going to kill her? You think she's just going to like coast gently away and like, whee!
Right. Yeah. And also, it's a remote trigger. Like, why couldn't you just jump in the water with her and ride the wave as you blew it up? And you would be alive right now, Ray. But you're fucking dead. So, anyways, should you watch this movie?
No.
I can't in good conscience recommend this movie. Not only is it too complicated to even watch the movie, once you do start watching the movie, it's not even a good zombie movie. It's not even a good, like, weird zombie movie. Like, it's just a bad movie. It's a bad movie through and through. All the characters are written terribly. The plot is, I mean, I can excuse zombie tidal wave as a premise out of just the sheer absurdity of it, of like, that's funny, it's whatever. But like, it's not even, they don't even do that well. Like it's just terrible. And the zombie makeup effects are fucking garbage. They're terrible. Terrible. They just painted a bunch of people blue and were like, zombies. And they were like, yeah, that'll do it. It was bad. But anyways, if you wanted to, though, it is streaming on Sci-Fi or NBC Universal or Bravo or wherever you get movies like that. So Zombie Tidal Wave, made in 2019. That one's on you. So thanks a lot for joining us for this episode. We've got 2 more left in our listener request. So the next one we're going to do is called Turk 182. This is an older movie. This is considered a classic movie. I in looking back at it, though, I feel like we're going to have a lot of conversations about racism. So expect that, because I think this is one of those movies that was like, it's funny because, they're Arabic and they talk funny, or they're, Chinese and big glasses and teeth or something. I feel like we're going to have a lot of those difficult conversations. We'll see, though. I vaguely remember. Yeah. But anyways, so thanks a lot for joining us, everyone. I super appreciate it. And we will see you next time.